Greetings and welcome to Maisha Kazini. We are back with our usual dialogues with Dr. Mordecai Ogada. And today we are going to talk about knowledge and the way Kenyans interact with knowledge. So, Karibu Ogada.
Thank you, thank you. We are
Yeah.
in troubled times, but we must keep on struggling.
I'm like when I was calling you last week, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of struggling
It
with
is
knowledge.
exhausting.
It is exhausting. So, one of the things I was calling you about last week, I was telling you that I've given up on giving talks to Kenyans because what happens, and it doesn't matter the level of education, what happens when you talk to them is that it's like they find every excuse to avoid what you're saying. But at the same time, they're making it sound like they're responding to what you're saying. So one
Yeah.
of the things that really gets on my nerves is when people start with a list of the things that I did not say. Why do
Mm.
we do that? They say you did not say this. And then the reason why they are saying that is because they are presenting their own books, their own articles, they are trying to write their own whatever. So now
Thesis,
it's like they're
proposal.
critiquing you for not saying what they are writing. I don't know. Is it making sense?
Yes, yes, I know what you're saying, and it's a kind of sport. It's it's sort of a sport when people want to seem intellectual, either to people who observe them or to themselves. So he thinks it's a sport so that I can argue with Wandia. So if Wandia was presenting a cooking recipe, how to make chicken masala and this kind of thing, and then there is a question, but how come you are not doing omena?
That's it. Yes.
He's learned nothing from you. He's contributing nothing to this thing, but he's contributing and trying to create some platform for argument between you and that wasn't what you are talking about. That wasn't your concern. That was
But
his.
they even say, what do you have against Omena?
What do you have against Omena? Hmm?
What is that? What is that about?
It's it's um it's something we talked about sometimes. It's ignorance or laziness, but it's aggressive laziness or aggressive ignorance. Because because it wouldn't be offensive to anyone. They could just sit quietly through your talk, even if they're dozing, whatever, and say nothing. But
Yeah.
they need to satisfy some urge in them to argue with you rather than learn from you, because they've sort of blocked off because learning is work.
Yeah. That's true.
Wandia is saying this and this, it's work to think about what she's saying. Is that true? Hey, I've seen something like that. Oh, I didn't know that. That thought is work. And Kenyans are so diametrically opposed to
Yeah.
intellectual work. It's
Mm,
unbelievable.
mm,
And they talk about the majority. There's that minority who take up, and we all know a few of them who take up what you're saying. They learn, they have a question, they ask it. If they have a challenge against what you actually talked about, they actually say, but I thought this and this, and you can
mm.
say no. You can correct them, or they can even teach you something,
Yeah.
and you learn. You say, oh, you are right, or maybe that's what you are saying is an exception to that statement I gave, and
Mm,
that helps, that builds everybody. But this other thing, it's just to appear, and it's partly driven also by
yes.
social media, because these
Yeah.
these these nonsense comments are usually on YouTube, even X, and even Facebook, at conferences even.
Yeah. People still talk like that. I went for a conference where, God, I've never forgotten this mom. She was an American. She was talking about PV and what. So she makes her point very nicely, and then now the questions come. Hey, you didn't say so and so, and it was all Kenyans. You didn't say
Yeah.
this, you didn't mention this. Then she's trying to explain. No, I was actually, yes, I agree with you, but that's not what my paper was about.
It was
Oh,
about, yeah.
they could not hear. And you see, the thing for me is, I leave those kinds of, because when you're coming, you're thinking you're going to get feedback on what you're saying.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
leave without feedback
Yeah.
because people are talking
And
their own things about what you didn't say.
and sometimes it's deliberately to damage the discussion, because
Yeah.
my experience in conservation conferences has been that the Nature Conservancy particularly would sponsor people to go to conferences. And then when Mordecai stands up saying something against what NRT is doing or what Nairobi Water Fund is doing, they have someone who will stand up and just say something off topic, something insulting and all that. And suddenly the whole discussion gets messed up. Even the moderator has to step in. But at the end of the day, we ended up not talking about NRT, which was the objective. So the Nature Conservancy actually used to sponsor people to conservation conferences to go and do that and attend all the talks of people who might be questioning their things.
Actually, that makes sense because even they say something that makes everybody feel they need to protect you. So they're so busy protecting
Yes,
you, and then they
yes.
forget what the
Yeah,
point.
like me, someone would come out and say, "You are racist."
Oh,
And then suddenly
that's effective.
suddenly there'd be an argument over whether is Mordecai racist or not and all that. But in all the noise, Mordecai's policy arguments,
God.
it's lost, disappeared.
And what is this other one that people give of you know too much? I saw it on your latest monologue. What is that?
Um,
What is that? How can anyone know too much? And you see, this is
it,
something that is said even in the school system.
it is it is part of what the aggressive laziness, I said, because again, knowledge is responsibility.
Aha.
There, knowledge, immediately you take up some knowledge, there's
Yeah.
responsibility. Because like if you know that plant is poisonous, you have like a responsibility not to eat it, or if you have a kid, to keep your kid away from it or something like that. Or even there are some people, some which are even poisonous to animals. You need to get your animals away from there or uproot it. There's responsibility because of that knowledge. So when people avoid knowledge the way majority of Kenyans do, what we are avoiding is actually responsibility that comes with that knowledge. Then you meet someone who is embracing knowledge, taking responsibility, asking questions. It's embarrassing. It's like you are in a field and we are tilling the land by hand, and there's someone who has tilled up to the end there, and you guys are still messing around at the middle here. It's embarrassing to you. You are digging too much.
Yeah. Oh,
You are
yeah.
tilling too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that they don't have the ability to embrace that knowledge, but that responsibility is a disturbance, because knowledge is a burden in some way. It improves our condition, but it's heavy to carry. There are some things all of us find out in life that, in retrospect, you even wish sometimes you didn't know that. But
Yeah.
now that you know it, you have to act accordingly and deal with that knowledge. So it's an extension of that laziness, but it's unfortunate that it's normalized in this
It's
country.
so
I
normal.
don't know.
When teachers are calling their students wajuaji, what is that?
They're afraid. They're afraid because teachers now, it seems to me, the duty they have been given under our current educational system is to create silos
Yeah.
and put the children in silos.
Yes.
So that kid is a problem because he or she might be like a kitten wanting to jump out of this box. He wants to get out of that silo, or is exhibiting signs of knowledge outside the silo. And that's a problem. Because if you look at even like the CBC textbooks, they're such stupid textbooks. There are some things written in there that are complete nonsense. And that student might suddenly say, "Teacher, this is not true." Because kids are honest like that. There are things which are written like that they "Teacher, this is not true." Maybe he knows differently from home, or he's observant, is observant and has seen that things are not like that. And he's not just this one to say, "Yes, teacher." And that's so that kid becomes a problem to this, or a challenge to this teacher. And that's why the teacher takes it negatively. Especially when a kid starts saying something that he's not regurgitating something you told him, as in he got this thing somewhere. He saw it on the way to school, or he learned it at home and all that. It's a problem to those who are seeking to create silos, boxes to put the kids. Look at the system we are doing now. You see this thing they're doing, pathways.
Yeah.
Where some kids I don't know, at age 11 or is it 12 are having to choose, are you going to be an engineer or whatever? And you see, we've been, myself included, I've been wondering, how do you expect a kid of 12 to know if he can be a good engineer or a good pilot or a good farmer, whatever? And then I realized that's not the objective.
No, it's not. No,
it's to put him in a silo. So they are determined to end up. So you do not end up with someone like a doctor like Lukoye Atuoli who knows about philosophy. They don't want that.
Yes.
You don't want a scientist like Ochieng Odero who's a thespian.
Yes.
You see, so they're trying to put kids in silos very early. So when a kid's in the agriculture silo, you want him to become a farmer who doesn't know the history of slave crops in Kenya, like cotton and pyrethrum. So you end up with a doctor who will not question these stupid vaccines being brought by Gates Foundation and whatever, these kind of things. And a farmer who will not question why is Monsanto bringing all this nonsense. So that's what they're trying to do. Or else they create a writer who knows nothing about the nonsense that goes on in conservation. So he'll never write about it. Even if he gets employed by nation newspapers, he will go and interview a conservationist, and the conservationist will tell him that there's only 2 of these northern white rhino in Kenya, and he say, oh, yes, he won't ask, but what about in South Sudan? Because he knows nothing about conservation. And so that's a society that's very easy to control. I just realized that recently, that it's not about what they want to teach the kid. It's the pathways are about what they want to exclude the kid from. And I remember many peers in school who are so good in physics and so good even in music.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's about sound and airwaves and acoustics and
those days we couldn't understand. But there are these kids who are good in maths and good in history and good in this and but they want to create silos. The one that's good in maths is not supposed to know anything about anything else.
But Kenyans didn't find that a problem. I really tried to explain. I tried to explain it, and then they said, no, this is good for our children. You see, for me, what was shocking for me, and I still haven't got used to it, is the fact that Kenyans didn't want to think outside of what government told them. And yet when it comes to State House, when it comes to I don't know what, and money and all those things, they are okay. Talking about where he went and I don't know what he bought and how much money is lost. But education, Kenyans just shut down. They refuse. They refuse to look.
Kenyans love that concept of the silos because the slave barracks are a comfortable place. You don't have to think. If you think about the slave barracks or slave quarters, there's someone telling you when to sleep, where to sleep. Food is brought to you, that nasty food. You don't have to think of what you'll eat, where you get it from, or what time you'll eat. All those are thinking. So if you offer Kenyan silos, and you see many people saying, me, I don't discuss politics. I don't read the news. I don't do social media. I don't watch movies. I don't read. I mean, I've seen people say that, me, I don't read books. Because you ask me, have you read that book? I don't read books. I tell you. Because all these things, as much as they make you, growth, intellectual or physical growth is never without pain.
And work.
Yeah. It's
People have,
never without pain, and it's work first. It's work. Growth is work, standard. But so it's never without suffering or stress or pain. And that is what Kenyans, every Kenyan, not every Kenyan, but the majority of Kenyans believe that there is a life somewhere without stress. There's a shortcut somewhere. It's called working smart. If you say, if you pretend not to have seen that thing, then you don't have to deal with the consequence of it. If you don't read that book, you don't have to deal with the knowledge of what it's telling you. Even when HIV pandemic first hit Kenya, do you remember how religiously Kenyans avoided testing? Because as long as I'm not tested, I'm not HIV
I don't have
positive.
to, yeah.
Even medical insurance companies had to remove that requirement for testing from their cover, the conditions, because people stopped taking medical cover. That you're taking me go to HIV test. They lost customers and they removed that thing. To this day, even they give, I don't know how they do their calculations, but to this day they give people medical cover without testing them for anything. And that's because that, and you see, that's we love the silos. So as long as I don't mistake kujua, so as long as I don't know, I pretend it's not my problem, or the problem doesn't exist.
But how did this enter the education system itself? Because I was telling you about a professor of literature saying the arts are only for entertainment and it has nothing to do with thinking. How do people reach there? How have we reached there where professors can say things like this? I mean,
He probably had that at a meeting where he was paid good per diem. But I doubt that he believes. The thing is, bad things are presented to Kenyans as a shortcut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Carbon trading is presented to us. This is free money. Hey, who doesn't? Let up. AI. This is a good thing. We are talking about leverage. That's why we are remember our conversation with you. You are seeing professors being trained on AI. Some of these old dinosaurs who don't even use email, they're the ones attending seminars training on AI. And because it's presented as a shortcut, that's why people suddenly start using it in their writing, in their writing, and to create all sorts of false content. And they think, oh, this is a shortcut. This is a shortcut to getting likes or views or whatever. And probably at a certain extent it translates to money. Or I can now write for 3 different publications. Writing like a weekly column is hard work. I can write columns for different publications because of this wonderful thing, which seems to be a shortcut. So I think it's the presentation of something as a shortcut. It's like financial systems in the government. Suddenly we use IFMIS because we are told IFMIS will stop corruption.
Yeah.
There are trillions being stolen through IFMIS. We'd be better off it when it was checks being written. It is signed by Wandia. So we have no question over who stole that money. But now we said IFMIS, this thing will stop corruption, applying engineering solution to human problems.
Even SHAD. See, the other day they were closing hospitals from fraud, and they told us, "Oh, now this thing is AI. It's tech.
Yes.
Somebody will steal."
Yes.
But that's people believe
we created SHIF because NHIF was corrupt. Then we took all the staff from NHIF and put them in SHIF. When NHIF was corrupt, as the building was corrupt, it was the people.
It was the technology. The problem was the technology. So now they're using new computers, so they'll stop being corrupt.
Yes. Instead of arresting and prosecuting and interdicting the corrupt people, just form a new organization, relabel it. When CBC became too much of a burden, you change it to CBE.
CBE, like it changes everything. Hey.
avoidance. It's just that thread of laziness that goes through everything. Even our government, instead of improving governance, they hire PR people.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
hire bots. They hire bloggers. Just do the right thing. Just do the right thing.
Yeah, that one. Somebody told Gava that communication is everything. It has that
Yes.
content is no longer matters. What matters is how you express it, how you communicate.
That's why with these days we even have a budget speech, which is just stories.
Yeah.
I think maybe even ChatGPT generated. We used to listen to the budget because it had real facts, figures, and realities around it. But now, why bother listening to the budget speech now? It's just a story. After all, after 3 months, they'll be presenting a supplementary budget. So you wonder what? So the one read in June, what was it about? What was it? By August, you'll be getting another one. What was actually a plan for a year, was meant to be a planning document for a year, is now doesn't even cover 6 months. So it's just a story. Even I don't even know how business people plan. You know, those people have to listen to what's the tax on this and all this.
Yeah.
I don't know how they plan.
They
but
can't.
hats off to them. I don't know.
They can't.
Yeah. Because we've done shortcuts.
But hey, it's not even the lack of planning. It's that now Kenyans believe planning is theory. It has.
Yes. So yes, it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. You're just talking. You're not acting. You're not practical. That's the idea. So they don't plan because it's not practical.
Yeah, planning is not a solution.
It's not.
They want solutions.
That's it. It's not a solution. That there's this clip I did which circulated quite a bit where I was saying how we are blocked from thinking by being asked for solutions. Do you know somebody actually asked me, what is the solution to that problem? I can't. Imagine me, I can't.
We've gotten so bad, even with those comments. There are sometimes I post something and I see a comment and I'm about to answer, then I realize, oh my God, this comment is even generated by ChatGPT. I mean, someone can get onto my post or blog or whatever, and then go to ChatGPT to get a comment, then just scroll to the next one. And you see, when you question things like the affordable housing project, oh, you don't want people to have houses, it's because you are rich, you don't want the poor to have houses, you want them to stay in slums, all this, that. You don't want the young to get jobs, you don't want this. Now, I've heard from a number of different towns that houses are complete, but ownership is sort of up in the air because they are built on lands that are in limbo. Some are on railways land, some are on land that belongs to certain government departments. So people now wonder, like, if I'm to buy this house, hapa kwa ownership, it's unsure. And those are things which should have been done in the planning phase. Like we are degazetting this government land and changing its status to this and building houses in it. So Mordecai comes after it's finished, he'll buy this house and it safely belongs to him. But people wanted to do those who are told, you're wasting time and we want this project started. We've put it on our 10-point agenda.
Stop being theoretical. We need action.
Stop being theoretical. What's your solution to housing? I'm providing a solution to housing.
Yeah.
These are solutions to slums.
I get confused when students do that, and they do that to me all the time. They ask me, so what is the solution? This is somebody in a 4-year degree supposedly trying to get the skills to work in this area. And that's the only question they can ask me. I mean, where is the problem?
That thing is because students have started seeing the degree as an objective. Because he's asking, what's the solution? He's asking you so he can go and write it somewhere and get his A and eventually get his degree. And the most basic way you can explain this is that when you go to driving school, your objective is not to get a license. It's to learn how to drive safely without killing your children or yourself or someone's child. The license is part of that. It just shows that you learned how to drive. But what you want is to learn how to drive safely without either getting an accident, killing someone, or getting jailed. That's the objective. That's why you go to driving school. The license is just a document that comes with that. But now, students all the way up from undergraduate to PhDs are seeing the paper, the physical paper, and the prefix doctor as the objective. They don't want to learn anything about
some have told me that point blank.
Yeah. In fact, some of those, especially some of these who are in doing it like working people who are doing it while work, he's doing it so that he can get promoted to job group F or whatever. Because he's doing it so that he can now get promoted maybe to a upper rank in whatever services. He's not interested. So the topic he or she does is a detail. Those things you're saying, go and read this, those are details. In fact, it's really vexing to them. Now, you're asking them questions. That's why they go, actually I know people take loans. I've known of people who go and take a loan of maybe 1 million. You go and find someone, okay, how much you write for me a proposal, 200,000. Cook for me whole data set and pieces, 500,000. Give that money. And that's why we've gotten to the point that these services I'm talking about are advertised on notice boards in the universities.
Yeah, they are.
And the people providing those services many times are even faculty in universities. That's where we get, like, you offer a shortcut. I mean, I go there and then Professor Wandia, she told me I do go and read this book by Fanon or something. She's like, I need to just finish and get this degree. And I remember there was some guy, I forget his name, but he interviewed for IBC. And he had done an MBA and then attained a PhD 6 months.
Yeah, I remember. And
you know that guy? And
he didn't look like he saw that there's a problem.
I thought he's going to collapse in embarrassment.
He was.
These are very easy. You can always do them concurrently.
He didn't feel anything.
No, he didn't. He wasn't aware. Bless his soul. He wasn't even aware that there was a problem.
You see, that's what I'm trying to drive at. How do people not see it's a problem? You know, even when we were talking about the health CS, the previous one, when she's going to the US embassy, because Trump has shut down aid, where's the problem? Where's the problem?
He's going to talk to the acting ambassador to ask if he can reinstate some of this aid. She doesn't even understand that executive order from the president, the ambassador does not have a say. He's an implementer.
He's just a diplomat.
He's a relatively low-level civil servant.
But that's the thing. How do we reach there as Kenyans? Somebody can easily say, yeah, I got my PhD in 6 months. Or somebody can say, yeah, the arts are not for thinking. What world do we have where people are not even aware that this is so embarrassing?
They're not even self-aware, because even that CS you're talking about, she's a qualified medical doctor. So this is someone educated. This is not some villager. She's not some villager. She's educated. So, but the thing is, this almost militant stand against thinking, it makes you it makes you it makes you seem foolish when there's something wrong with you when you're thinking. Because
Yeah.
probably probably at a cabinet meeting, I wouldn't be surprised. At a
Mm.
cabinet meeting, it was resolved. We've got this crisis. USA money. Can we just, Madam CS, can you make an appointment to go and see the ambassador and ask if they can reinstate this? She didn't. She may have known that this is nonsense, but she doesn't have the courage to say that, actually, this order is from White House.
Mm.
It can't be fixed here in Gigiri. It can't be done like that. But then she decided to go. What was still, she thought it's normal now to even tell the press that she's going on this fool's errand. We've normalized, because that is competence now. She was following a cabinet resolution. So she's a competent minister by doing that.
I can't. I can't. You know, it
It's
has
that's
been.
why I can talk until veins come out on my head about how carbon trading is a scam. It's rubbish. It's bullshit. But you will see people registering for postgraduate courses to study carbon credits.
Yeah, what is that? I mean, I don't know. What is this?
I mean, it's rubbish. It's you.
Do they know
You're
really?
looking.
Because sometimes I think maybe they didn't hear,
It's just because
maybe they didn't understand what you were saying.
no, they're registering because there's a grant somewhere offering that. So,
Oh,
here's a grant, and that troubles me and you because we know carbon credits is nonsense, but then they just wanted the paper. You'll still get the paper, the degree. They
yeah.
just want the paper. So what if credits is nonsense?
Mm.
You get the degree, and you still
And
call
then
yourself Mordecai
what?
Ogada MSc or Mordecai Ogada PhD. And later on, when someone's recruiting someone with a PhD in natural resource management, you will go there with your PhD in carbon trading and call that natural resource management PhD.
The thing is, sometimes the job they think will hire them with that carbon credit certificate actually won't. And when you warn
No,
them, they don't believe it.
no,
You
no, no.
warn
You're
them, these
jealous.
guys are not going to hire you for this thing. They're like, no, it's you who doesn't understand. You're always so negative.
Because
I,
because because you see, and I hope whoever the people who work in these carbon credit nonsense projects are
mm,
listening. The 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 bottom line in working carbon credits business and all that is the belief that A, there is such a thing as free money, and B, the belief that Westerners have come here to help us because they love us. As in, come to
yeah.
Kasigau or Masai Mara or Samburu
Mm,
because they love us and they've come
yeah.
to help us.
Mm,
You have those two beliefs. That's why you work
yeah.
and
Okay.
you work actually believe in your own rhetoric as you do that work. But it's tragic. It's tragic. You believe someone came from Europe or the United States all the way here to give Mordecai free money. There's nothing in it for him, and there's nothing I need to do. And you go out there and you share that belief and preach it to communities, and you convince elders and chiefs to sign away their community's birthright because you believe this random guy has come from Oklahoma or wherever to come and help you for free because he loves you.
But here's the thing. Hey, I'm just going to keep on being shocked. It's the
The depth of it
silos
will
you're
just shock.
saying. It's the
Yeah,
silos.
Yeah.
Because if you in another forum you say these wazungu are not here to help us, they'll shout and say yes, 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 that is true. These people are not doing anything in our interest. But then now when it comes to this different topic, that principle disappears.
In
It's
fact,
like knowledge
yeah.
in Kenya is it's atoms. If you
Yes, you
know
can't
one
join the
thing here,
dots.
it stops mattering when you're in the next place.
Dot, there, dot, there, dot, there are no line between the
Yes.
dots. Joining the dots.
Yeah,
And
there's no connection.
it's that's what makes because what goes on in Kenya now, it's intellectual prostitution of your qualifications, your reputation, your certificates, everything. But the dots is what makes it possible. Because you went and did a master's, PhD, whatever, in conservation science, and this is the right thing to do. You come with that master's. Because of that master, of that PhD, they've employed you as in a nice senior position in maybe the Nature Conservancy. You get in there, and these guys are just doing fraud and money laundering. But you cannot join that to what you did in a PhD. Now it's about here. It's about this nice office, the staff car, the foreign trips and per diems. So now that's what I'm dealing with here. I'm not dealing with what I learned during my PhD. That one can stay. In fact, they say that was in the past. You tell us that was the past. Now, we are now doing the real stuff. And people work. That's what enables you to work 10, 15, 20 years doing the wrong thing, being well paid for it, and sleeping well at night, I assume. And you see these people, I know them. After they leave these jobs, they start saying, Mordecai, you are right. And these are people who never talked to me when they were in those offices. That in fact, sometimes I used to call it failure to join it's refusal to join the dots is what makes prostitution possible. If you can join the dots, prostitution becomes difficult, because now you start having sleepless nights at 2 a.m. wondering, now what am I doing? But if you keep the dots separate, you keep the silos separate. What silos? They're silos. You keep the silos separate. That was Kenyatta University. This is now this office. You keep those silos separate. You'll survive. They do. I don't know how they do, but they do somehow. And that's the importance of introducing these silos early. That's why CB is introducing these silos so early. Get that doctor who will be told, this is the latest vaccine. He will just take a needle and jab the nearest baby. You won't ask him, talk happy, and it treats what? And it's for, is it side effects? Let him toto. You'll be told, WHO says put it in, yeah.
But I'm really struggling to get it, because I hear what you're saying, but the way you hear that same Kenyan talking, very moralistically, and you see, this was what used to confuse me about this narrative of pride in our culture. You'd hear somebody saying, oh, the West, they come here and they take over our systems. We need to be proud. We need to decolonize the mind. That's the same guy. The next day, he's going to be jabbing that kid with poison because he was given by Wazungu.
It's so shallow. It's laziness again, because if you look at issues of culture, first of all, culture, regardless where you are in the world, culture is not static. Never has been, has never been. Never has been and never will be. But we refuse to look at culture as being what in Kenya, we are so shallow. We look at culture as clothes, this garment.
Yeah. Something you put on.
At a type of beads, a type of earring.
Of food.
A type of food. Those are, as in those are the skin of culture.
Yeah.
Those are not culture. Those are just aspects. They're just indicators and aspects or artifacts of culture. like eating fish, because we are from around the lake. It's
Yeah,
unless
you
you
eat
it
fish.
will
That's it.
definitely be an important source of protein. Those
Yeah.
people out in Belile and Masabit, goat meat will be an important source of protein, as will camel milk. It's a product of those circumstances. But you see, when our culture and when you start looking at the intellectual parts of our culture, we reject those ones. The parts that involves our livelihoods, our identity, and these kind of things. That's why, as I've said before, we celebrate the Maasai culture with beads, etc., which are even worn by waiters serving drinks in lodges. But the part of their culture that is pastoralist and raises herds of livestock is rejected by tourism. And that's why I say that now when we start dividing our culture according to what Westerners think is
Yes.
cute about it.
Yes. Or what makes us be noticed by them. So if you
By
tell them,
Westerners.
as we
Yeah.
don't eat rice, we eat ugali. So it's almost their way of saying, see
Oh,
me,
yeah.
I am
Yes,
different
yes,
from you because of what I
yes,
eat.
yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. Those superficial things, but we don't want to deal with the intellectual parts of our culture, things like the need to teach kids holistically about the environment, about trees, about traditions, taboos, do's and don'ts, and all that. We don't want that. That we are willing to put them in the silos that Western has designed for CBE. But then when it comes to clothes, come any national day or magical Kenya, now we are showing people in those Masai Kikois and these kind of things, saying that is culture. I mean, we are so far from even understanding what our culture is that we should be very careful about even trying to talk about it to others. We don't understand it ourselves,
Mm.
because our cultures would not even allow our elders to behave amongst young people the way they behave today. If we respected our culture, you would not see these elderly politicians talking the kind of nonsense they
Yes.
talk to the youth.
Yeah, and competing with them
Yeah,
and
yes,
insulting
competing with
each
them for jobs.
other. Then you're like,
Yes,
you're an elder. Why are you doing this?
yes. An older man is competing with younger men for the attention of young girls, this kind of thing. It's from personal to the state systems. Really old people in charge,
Yeah.
very powerful government offices, ruining the
Mm.
lives of younger people. If our culture, there's no culture in this country that accepts such things. And like councils of elders, which were very well respected, now are getting involved in politics, saying we endorse so and so.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, those elders I don't listen. I get so embarrassed
Yeah,
because that's not what eldership is. It's supposed
they
to
are
be
parts of this. Yeah,
wisdom,
yes,
consideration,
council.
reflection,
Yeah,
counsel, and you're talking even worse than the politicians themselves.
yes,
But
yes.
oh Lord, how did that happen? There must be a structural explanation for how we got to that point.
It's. I think it's our departure from the intellectual to the material.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a major departure in Kenya
Yeah. Yeah.
that unalipwa pesa ngapi? Hmm? You shouldn't talk like that na una pesa. We weren't even
Mm.
discussing money. No one will listen to an elder. In fact, that's how politicians somehow became elders, because they're the ones with money. Suddenly being an
Yeah.
elder became it became a material position.
Mm.
And look, and the government of Kenya is working to to um, to exacerbate that problem. You remember recently they decided that they want to pay elders. Government wants to pay village elders.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
The PS Raymond Omolo saying that, PS
Yeah.
for Interior, that you want to start paying elders. How do you? Are you? paying me for being old? Or what are you paying me for? And this because they want to co-opt the elders into government mouthpieces. Because now once they
And
start being paid,
spies.
they'll just be called, yes, yeah, and spies. They'll just be called. Now the government has decided this. Go out into the village and tell the youth they must do this. Or suddenly, if you are saying something the government doesn't like, they'll now be applying pressure on you from shags, from your grandfather or your grandmother.
Yeah, that's what
Suddenly, your
it
grandfather
is.
will be calling you and telling you the government doesn't like what you are saying.
Mm.
And it's in different societies that can be very powerful. There are certain societies in Kenya where the system of elders, etc., is still very powerful. If suddenly there's an elders have called you and you are sat, let's say if you are from Meru, then you are sat down in front of Juricheke and you are told, Wewe, you have like you'll shrink. That's a whole different kind of pressure. So the government is at the forefront of turning eldership into a material thing.
Wow. You know, that I think that's the fundamental failure that is producing the circumstances we are in.
Yes,
This
yes,
materialist.
yes, yes. So, I mean,
Because
suddenly,
even
it's very common now that politicians say, I'm an elder now," and it's just saying I'm saying this as an elder. I'm telling you as an elder, especially with the governance problems that are going on in Kenya now. I'm talking to Gen Z as your father.
okay.
Then you are the source of the poison that's killing them. Now you're telling them you are their father.
Yeah, what is that? I
You made this thing material. You made this thing material.
And then another thing I've noticed, oh gosh, I've seen so many, I'm getting tired of teaching because I've noticed that the students don't believe me if they haven't seen what I've said in the media.
Mm.
And I've also noticed that Kenyans get annoyed when you say something that they haven't read in the media. It's like they're not listening to you, they are waiting for you to confirm what they already know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm
Yeah,
making sense.
yeah. They are used to so used to being told what someone said.
Mm,
Like I come to them in Nation newspaper last Tuesday. It said da, 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 da.
yeah.
Oh, then say, oh, okay, all right. But then if you come and tell them now, this is what this means. It's the same. It's the
Mm,
same. It comes from above and below. It can come
yeah.
from your
Yes.
students now saying, "What's that?" Then even when you are now submitting a paper to a journal or something, where's the source of this?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
write
yeah, yeah.
on X. What's your source? Like, excuse me, I think the source is me. It's my
Me.
brain. I'm saying that. And I mean, it's what stopped me writing for. I was writing for a journal called Pan African Review some time back, and I stopped writing for them. I just told them I've had enough, because every time I'd put so much work into writing a column every 2 weeks, and they had this editor who keeps saying, "What's the source of this? Can you?" He does give me a link for where I can find this on the internet. I'm saying, aren't any ideas of mine meant to be original? I'm not meant to have any ideas of my own. I should be telling you what I should be working like AI, picking things
Yeah.
from the internet and
Yeah.
compiling them into this. Then you got the wrong person. And there are many people who can do that, but you got the wrong person. I'm not going to do that. Because a lot of what's out there is actually wrong. I want to write my opinion and let people read it and assess it. I could even be wrong, but that was what I said.
That's actually what education has become. People picking things
Yes,
even before the whole that app. People
yeah,
that's what people were doing. They were just quoting paste, quote paste, and
yeah.
then you ask, what do you think? They cannot tell you. They
They
think you
can't
are
tell you.
attacking them. Me, that's what I'm told. Why are you attacking
Yes,
me? Did
yes,
I
and
do something
you
wrong?
yeah. That's how when you see a research proposal of a 200 page 200 100-page research proposal, that means in my mind I see now a literature review of 70 pages.
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah.
You read 70 pages of saying what people are saying. What's that? I mean,
By the way, what's that? What's that? There's a way in which Kenyans write thesis that
mm,
there's so
because
much bowing to other people and never getting ahead with what you're saying.
no, you actually you we are now ending up with many theses that are don't actually say anything. They tell you what others
You
say.
said,
Yeah, they tell you what others say, and at the end of the day, the student, he or she, tells you who she agrees with amongst those ones. I tend to think the position of Ogada on this is the best way forward. That
mm,
conclusion.
yeah.
The conclusion is that they agree with Mordecai Ogada.
By the way,
After 3 years of research, they agree with Mordecai.
yes, that's it.
No contribution to what's your contribution to knowledge? And
So
that's
what
why
do you
even
think of the
what do
topic
you think?
discussing? Because
Because especially like at PhD level, masters you are sort of building up research skills, but at
yeah,
PhD level, it's doctor of philosophy. Now, what's your philosophy on education, on conservation, on even engineering or on medicine? What do you think? That's the essence of the degree. But then now I agree with Mordecai. Mm.
but sorry to say, I think they would be failed if they didn't do that. It's in the
No,
system. It's
our
the
system,
system.
it's a system because even the
Yeah.
supervisor he produced a thesis like that. In fact, what many of them strive to do is even
Mm.
pick, they look very hard to find their supervisor's publication that quotes them thoroughly, stroking the supervisor's ego.
It has been entrenched. You know, the
And woe betide you if your view is differs with that of the supervisor.
yeah. You'll be told you're
I
not
mean,
an expert. You're not yet an expert. Wait until you get your paper.
who do you think you are?
Right now, you just repeat what others said.
Who do you think you are? You are challenging me. In fact, he says you are challenging me because, like, for example, if you look at my field, conservation biology, the realities in nature now are certainly not what they were when I did my PhD 2007. If you went and studied in the same thing in the same places today, you would
Mm.
find the same thing. So if a supervisor student today and went back and came back with different things, I should be happy. I said, oh, this guy has now noticed that things have changed. But most the general reaction of academics now is to that student is that's very arrogant. How he's saying I'm wrong.
Yeah, they're not yet an expert. They don't have the expertise to make
Yeah,
to arrive at such
yeah.
a conclusion.
That's the
Hey,
anti-knowledge brigade.
but how come I don't even know if it's a question. I'm just so sad that this thing has been entrenched in the university and you can't talk about it. That's the worst part. You can't. You can't say, what is this? Why are we doing this? You'll be told, oh, you think you're better than us. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey,
In fact, the saddest thing is that the universities there's something they've started talking about called innovation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And innovation is just in tools. Like now, there this nonsense they talk about leveraging AI, and all that. True innovation is coming up with being supervised and coming up with a new way of looking at things, even if it was looking at conservation. So I'm supervising a student and it comes up with something different from what I came up with whatever X years ago. That is innovation. But then now, innovation in our universities, now we are submitting papers online, we are doing Zoom classes. That's what we are considering to be innovation. And innovation, innovation is something that comes out of study. It's not a policy. We treat it as a policy, or it's in the vision, those vision statements of research and innovation. You even have a DVC in charge of research and innovation. And some so,
Oh yeah,
and you
now
wonder,
it
is
has
it,
become a job, eh?
yeah, it's a job. It's a job. How, like the Department of History, what innovation are they coming up with? I mean, they're studying history. And what then and we like applying these things across. It's a policy. It's something that even government has come up with. Like you, every you see, like former President Uhuru Kenyatta has had this big four agenda. One of the things in there was food security. So every parastatal had to come up with a statement on how they're addressing food security. Even Nuclear Energy Agency now has to think and wonder.
Yeah,
You know,
actually, I really
KWS,
dislike
I
those
remember because,
things.
because I
Yeah.
was in the board of parastatal in the tourism industry. We now have come at how we are addressing food security.
What?
Tourism does not address food security. It does not.
Good. I really hate those themes, by the way. The ones which
Those
have,
themes, they are themes. It's, innovation
yeah,
is a
and
theme.
vision statements, and
Theme
we are
is,
told we must
yeah,
all align to that one thing.
yeah, big four agenda. We have a Ministry of Agriculture. That's for food security. That's their job.
Yeah,
We have a
exactly.
Ministry of Health. It's to take care of health. We have the Ministry of Interior. It's to take care of security. Ministry of Defense is to take care of defense. Yani how now? How are you going to take one theme and universities have tried to do that across their different departments. You have a theme, you want to impose it on everyone, from the physicist to the historian and everybody.
But I've always been amazed at how academics have lost their identity. They think they have to be like everybody else. But it seems to be a disease across Kenya. Everybody is trying to be what they are not.
Yes, yes. Even down to our country itself is trying to be like Singapore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You see, you hear ministers all the time saying, in the States, the recent security issues, the interior minister was saying, in the States, I know police do.
And Singoe was talking about Dutch police.
We're talking about Dutch police. Who cares? Who cares? And this is why we have to make Kenya, people here say, we want to make Kenya the Singapore of East Africa. What? No.
Why?
I want it to be the Kenya of East Africa. And everyone, because it's completely avoiding making something of yourself. Making something of yourself. So even when you try and say something about the current politics in the country, someone is scrutinizing us, trying to, instead of understanding what you are saying, he's trying to work out who you are supporting. You are saying that because you say something and someone comes up with a comment like, why? How come you are saying that? I thought you are a supporter of so and so. I say, who told you that? And if I'm a supporter of so and so, who says I cannot think this and that?
What is that about? Is it it's the silos again?
It's the silos. It's the silos. Whose basket are you in? And this is why our politicians thrive at horse trading. Because we jump into baskets to be traded.
I'm trying to remember. There was just like 2 days ago. I now I remember. I said that this thing of telling us about dissidents and raiding cop stations and what I was saying. As people from the Moi era, we saw this a lot. We saw all these stories of police stations supposedly being raided. And then
You remember
somebody told me,
were jailed for raiding. It was Ndeya Chief's camp.
oh
In
yeah.
Koigi Wamere were told they raided and stole guns. I looked at Koigi, I said, this is the guy who went and attacked a Chief's camp. Remember that?
Actually,
Then they
yes.
asked, I forget who the others were, but Koigi was one of them.
And that's now what they're doing to these young people, saying they raided whatevers and stole. Oh, dear Lord.
And you see, when the Minister for Interior was telling them to shoot people if people come to other police station, I remembered, I thought back to the post-election violence of 2007-08.
Yeah.
And I had the misfortune of being in the middle of it in Eldoret, those sides coming from our farm to Nairobi. And I remember for so many people, like the Kikuyus in Eldoret, the safe place to run to was the police station. Now imagine if something happens and you're running to the police station and the policeman is opening fire on you because he thinks you are an attacker or something. He's been told if someone runs to a police station, you shoot him.
Oh, yeah, shoot him.
And you are there running to safety or running for safety. People run to police stations for many reasons. Imagine if that gate is barricaded and there are guns pointing at you and you are running to the police station, running away from danger.
And the way he so effortlessly said it. He said it so effortlessly with no, exactly. That's a thing. There was no.
There was one place where people actually pushed back. They said,
yeah.
And he repeated. He didn't catch that self-awareness. Or even he didn't suddenly notice, like, look, their phones like held out like this recording me. You know, those are things that can give you pause for thought before you say anything.
Yeah.
When you're about to talk and you see suddenly phones are up like this, you think, okay, now I need to be careful. Went on and doubled down on it. That's the lack of self-awareness that has sort of engulfed this country. People, yeah.
Me, I can't do it anymore. Do you know, I go to class and I come out and I'm just like, nobody had me. They asked me for solutions. They told me to how do we help the person who mashinani? I mean,
look, even
it's like everybody's committed to missing the point, basically.
Yeah. Because your point implies your point requires work. Because someone tells you, how do I help the person who mashinani? Who told you he needed your help?
Exactly. That's what I ask.
You have enough problems here in town. What do you want to go and do in the guy in mashinani is even living much better than you. You are the one with the problems. If he ever needed help from you, he would ask you. But you see, that's so imperialist that you remember it's sort of 50 years ago that it was assumed, rightly or wrongly, that the wealth, power, luxury, services, meaning everything, good life was in town.
Yeah.
Someone who was in shags, by definition, was someone living a bad, hard life.
Yeah.
And imagine 50 years later,
we still
55
think like
years
that.
Later, people still think that. I mean, I live in a village, in a rural setting, and I recently had some guests, and someone
Uh,
someone asked, this is not a young person. This is not a young person. This is someone I estimate maybe in his 40s or something. And he looked around and asked, "What do you do here?"
uh,
I was so taken aback. I said, "Well, I do my gardening, my cycling, my
yes.
reading.
Uh,
I do whatever I need to do here, and I go wherever I need to go and come back here."
yeah.
But that's the thinking that's making the student ask you, how do I help the person in mashinani? Because to him or her, the person in mashinani is in trouble. He needs solutions from town so he can live like the people in town, a good life like the people in town.
You know, now it has just occurred to me that that's how civil servants think. That's why
Yes,
they
precisely.
smash innovation. When Kenyans are
Yeah.
innovating things, they come, they smash, and then they say, yeah, we are bringing this technology, we are bringing this innovation.
Because in fact, what they need to do is suppress production.
Yes.
Because there's a friend of mine
Uh,
who has been working very hard to establish a distillery. He has a micro distillery. So the permitting process to produce some drink spirits, the
mm,
permitting process is so complicated and expensive. And
yeah.
this was actually discussed in parliament. Go to a level, KRAS say they have to have something called a flow meter, apparently used to keep tax revenue on anyone producing whatever fluids.
Yeah.
The thing is, which is fine, but this thing, it costs 25 million.
What?
25 million. And
Hey,
the only use of
like an
it is to
implement.
calculate tax. Yes, it's a meter. I mean,
Oh,
I don't buy my electricity meter. It's
that is
property of
true.
KPLC. It's
Yeah.
it's what to charge me. Same with
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
So now this one they used it costs 25 million. And this even came to parliament.
Mm.
And the majority leader, Ichungwa,
Yeah.
was saying $25 million of money. And as a Christian, also, I'm not very much keen on this production of alcoholic drinks. Now, think of someone, if this friend of mine
Yeah.
said to open a wines and spirits shop to sell those alcohols from wherever,
Ah, he would
you get
get
a
a
license
license
like that.
very quickly. Yeah, very
Production is what
quickly.
they don't want.
They very
Corporation might employ even 50 people producing these spirits, etc., and earn tax, but production is what they don't want. And that's when I got to realize, because there's a friend of mine, she's called Zina Sarawiwa from Nigeria,
mm,
and she produces spirits, gin. In Nigeria, or amongst the Goni people and other Nigerian groups, gin is very important as a cultural part of cultural ceremonies. It's even used as a vehicle for certain herbal medicines
mm,
because obviously alcohol is a better solvent than water for
yeah.
various chemicals. A lot of these things are crushed, whatever mixed with gin, and you take as medicines.
Yeah.
And surely production of local gin to her is a thing of insurgency. It's
Meaning,
something, and that's why the British violently suppressed production of local gin. In Kenya, you will see violent suppression of changa. I mean, changa people are chased up and down, even
yeah.
worse than robbers and kidnappers and rapists.
Yeah.
Because that's why, my friend, I believe that culture in the civil service is why my friend is having such difficulties getting a permit. If you wanted to sell now, open a wines and spirits and sell Jack Daniels and all these other Johnny Walker and all these other things,
Yeah.
license he'd get like that. But since he wants to produce his, now it's a problem. Now someone is even mentioning Christianity when dealing with this issue. That is the violence we continue to face all the time. And that's why even we were talking about academia. It's fine when you want to write a long thesis including other people's knowledge. Your knowledge is the one we don't want to see there.
Oh,
We don't want to see what you
yes,
think.
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Hmm. We don't want to see what you think. We don't want to know what Wandia thinks. That student in class, we don't want you putting up your hand and telling you, teacher, I think. Tell me what it says on page 15. What do you think? You can even be teaching about goats. You can even be teaching about goats in Maasai land, and you'll expect that Maasai kid to tell you what's in the textbook instead of telling you what he has seen from his goats, their goats at home.
Hey, that one I now give up. Hey.
We are against
it. My mind. I'm getting tired because I'm getting intellectually exhausted because it's like I go to every single place I go to, I have to be somebody different. And I have to watch what I say.
And put a performance for certain people.
And put
for this
up a performance. So when you're in this space, you can't say that you know this thing. When you're in that space, you can't say, you know, I cannot. My mind is tired. It's tired.
And you see, it's what drives also the culture of silence. Because how does human society grow in silence? I mean, if someone's tall, we say yes, they are tall. But why can't we say they are fat if they are fat? You know, this is what the West has put on us.
Yeah.
Someone says something wise. Yes, that's very smart. Someone says something stupid. No, you don't tell me that's stupid. You tell me that's stupid. No, now, Wandia is being rude. Oh, Wandia is being this. Mordecai is being this.
And you know, they introduced that logic with meeting expectations.
Yes.
So now the teacher can't teach anything because if there's a kid in the class who doesn't know it very well, they have to spare her feelings and not make it obvious that the kid doesn't know. And the thing is, you're in school because you don't know. That's the point.
You come to learn.
You went to learn.
You come to be taught.
But now we are going to spare the feelings of the child. We are all, oh, Lord.
So the teacher has become a regurgitator.
Yeah.
Rather than a teacher.
Yeah.
And and the material is he or she is regurgitating is being developed somewhere by people who are not teachers, who are administrators, who are civil servants, because civil servants are just trying to create new civil servants.
That is it. That is it. Because, no, that one I have to think about it.
The civil service is tasked with reproducing itself.
Yes.
It's not tasked with growing anything.
That one?
The civil servants are taught and not to think, and the not thinking is enforced by rules in their offices. So they certainly would not produce materials that teach kids to think. That would be diametrically opposed to what they are doing in the ministry or in KICD or wherever.
That's actually what the new education system is.
Yes.
It's for civil servants.
Yes, it's for civil servants. It's for civil servants.
And that's why they are blocking these careers and putting them in silos so that the only person who can be able to move in all the spaces is the civil servant.
Yes.
The rest of you stay in these spaces where I can control you.
Yes. So you find now someone like a doctor, qualified medical personnel, and then health is devolved. He's now under a CEC. Have you seen some of the people who do CECs are? We don't give respect to them.
By the way.
Have you seen some of these people?
Yeah, we are dumbing down the country, yeah?
Yeah. And even look, is it possible? One of our most important wildlife habitats is Maasai Mara Reserve. If there was a conservation scientist in charge of Maasai Mara Reserve, which is would be a very important job. He's under the CEC. He's under the CEC environment or wildlife in Narok County. That's his boss. Can you imagine? That would be his boss.
But how are we reproducing this system? Because many of these CEC people are educated. So we are not talking about guys who have never been to. I mean, I,
The CECs
uh,
is they're appointed. They're not appointed on their civil servants appointed just on pretty ad hoc basis. Rarely on merit or what they're skilled in. It's because they were some of the governor's campaigners during the campaign and this kind of thing. But that's what they end up. That's what they end up. Those are the offices they run. So imagine why. So now you can see why the devolved functions are suffering. Can a CEC in charge of water in a county stand up to the Nature Conservancy when they come to take over? No way. No way.
They can't.
Hell no. The CEC in charge of health in a given county, can he stand up when Melinda Gates checks in with the entourage saying, I've got all these medical things, vaccination for whatever?
They can't.
Impossible.
They can't.
A CEC, you know, and that is the overemphasis on civil service. It kills innovation and
administration. Civil service and administration, yeah.
Yes. We followed the British model so closely. There's very little innovation coming out of Britain right now. Why do you? It's because of that.
Yes.
Where's innovation in the world coming from now? It's coming from these.
Hey, and those people are in control. They really love it. They love control. Hey.
Control and prescription. And
isn't that what we are being told will fix Kenya if Matiang'i becomes president?
Yes. We want an efficiently run slave quarters. We don't want freedom.
Yes. Hey, that one. Yeah.
And you see, the Gen Z, for lack of a better term, that generation.
Yeah.
That horse has bolted. Stop trying to close the gate. You're stupid if you're trying to close the gate. That horse has bolted. It's gone. And you can see civil servants like this guy in charge of David Mugonyi, the guy of Communication Authority. You're sending your staff to go and climb up on some metal mast to switch off something, and people are getting information here. Go and switch it off. It's like the police we post at the doorways of banks, as if people are stealing through that doorway. People are stealing online.
Yeah, there's a disconnect. The government has not.
But if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like you're only looking, should I hit here or hit here? Your only tool you have is a hammer. So you sit there with your hammer and we polish that hammer. It's very shiny, ready to hit any nail. They get to a point there's no nails. It happened with KWS when it was formed by the ideas of Leakey. He took over when poaching was rampant. There was a war to be fought against poachers.
Yeah.
So he got mobilized guns, aircraft, all these things for fighting poachers and fought the poachers, and he won that war. But later on, conservation problems now was climate change, invasive species, and habitat fragmentation, things you cannot shoot with bullets.
But he was still using guns.
Yes, you end up now and policy weaknesses. So you end up with the parks like Hell's Gate, which is like an industrial area, with people with KWS rangers with guns standing at the gate to an industrial area. In fact, if you go through Olkaria Gate, you actually get startled by the presence of KWS guys. It's so noisy in there, you can't even hear yourself talk from all the steam turbines. In fact, the animals have moved out to the peaceful area outside the park. So what are you guarding there with your guns?
Where is the problem? Is it that nobody in KWS can see this, or what's the issue? The issue is administration. We've done everything the right
Yeah,
way.
the issue is that we are doing everything procedurally the right way. We are all civil servants. We've done everything by the book. Whatever is happening outside those books, we don't know. And I can tell you there's nothing in government policy to deal with safari rally in national parks. There's nothing government policy to deal with. They're there to protect the park from poachers, but they can't protect the parks from industries.
That's a major cognitive dissonance we have, and it's a national one. It's not even.
It's a national one. It's not a department. It's a national one. It's a national one.
Gosh, this thing, I just find it so disturbing. It's so small. It's those things. It's like a fly in your ear. It's so small, but it's so annoying and irritating, and it almost paralyzes you. Anyway, so I was telling you about this thing I noticed that students, they find it difficult to engage you, and instead they ask you the questions from their own work. What is that about?
We have a culture of prescription. The government is prescribing.
Yes. Yeah.
This is what you should eat. This is what, and that culture was even really enforced during the COVID lockdowns.
Yeah.
Everyone looking for what the government should. The government says don't go to don't go to Nairobi, don't go to the national park, don't go to the supermarket and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
And students, especially the students who are good in school, are those who are good at following prescriptions. Go read chapter 20. It's what's coming there. You will read it, kabisa, and you bring that in the exam, he'll hit 95%. But with grad school, and even now, even undergraduate, trying to get people to think now seems like it's almost like you're being unfair to him or her. I've been in interview panels where I've gone through the questions around qualifications and all that. Now you ask a sort of softball question, try and gauge this person. What do you think about this and this? I've had a candidate fall to pieces, she almost burst into tears.
What?
Yes. We were interviewing for monitoring and evaluation officer. And I asked her, how do you monitor this kind of, what do you think about this? When you monitor this, you get this kind of data. What do you think she nearly burst. I felt so bad even. She nearly burst into tears. I think she actually thought I was trying to eliminate her. That's another way. We were interviewing in another way. I'm not even expert. So the question I asked, I was not
was
even
a
technical.
very innocent one.
No, it's not something I know. I want to just hear how she thinks. Hey, she went to pieces.
I think Kenyans have a preconceived notion of how thinking sounds like. So they are not doing the thinking, they are trying to...
They are doing a performance.
They are trying to do a performance where they sound like they think so and so is.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they start by they think by asking you, what can I do about, they think they're sort of flattering you or stroking your ego.
Yeah.
So, I'm clever, I'll go and praise her. I think you are one of the best professors. Now, what do you think I should do about this? And because she'll be happy, she'll tell me, go and write this, go and do this, and then I'll go and... No,
me, I don't prescribe. Me, I just say, this is what I think. Now it's up to you to decide based on what you do said. That. This is the decision I'm making.
Yes.
No, they cannot.
They can't.
They even ask me, so what should I do?
But what do you want me to do? What should I write? What do you want me to write about? What do you want me to say?
Hey. And is it, I don't know, maybe because this is my field, education and in the intellectual,
Mm.
is it just here that people are doing that, or is it in all fields? Because I am so tired of it. I'm tired
No,
of performance. I'm tired of, instructions. I'm really tired.
no,
And you
it's
see, the
it's
older I get, the less tolerance I have of it. I'm so
yeah.
tired. I cannot still be here 10 years later. I'm still
Mm.
being asked, what should I do?
Yeah. And I think it's not restricted to here because it's partly even it's been exacerbated. It's been made
Mm.
worse globally by AI
Uh-huh.
because AI will always tell you. You can ask literally AI those words. What should I write? One day, Professor Wandia has given me an assignment about this. What should I write? And the AI will tell you.
Okay, you're not seeing that. Eh?
So, and then students start thinking, especially from the part of students, they start thinking they're clever. Like people
Yes.
keep, people write to me, like I showed you that comment on one of my monologues, where this
Yeah.
guy was asking thesis
Yeah.
questions.
We need to talk about that one. Yeah.
These are thesis. He's asking me, I forget the exact thing, but he's obviously got some project he's doing, and he's asking me,
It was just a monologue
yes,
on silence. And I don't
yeah,
know
but
what.
yeah.
Then somebody writes this. How?
Salam kwa wingi, Daktari. Please indulge me. I would like to hear your view on citizen actions, protests, formal and informal rights actions, specifically organized militant active engagement, i.e., the Black Panther movement. Please map this onto the current urban landscape and our heavy history in citizen and national freedom movements, such as Mau Mau, Western and Northern Kenya's, coastal Kenya's secessionist strategies and grouping. Is this possible in our context, especially in a one-handed situation like ours, with an angered citizenry, hostile criminal justice, and poor fiscal standing? He gave me instructions on what to do for him.
What is
And
that?
it took,
He saw you as an AI, I think. Or what?
yeah. In fact, that's what I should have said. Why don't you just copy and paste that into AI?
By the
But
way,
yeah, but
what is that?
intellectual work is not servitude. It's not. And instead of appreciating what I said, he's seeing he saw me as someone who has demonstrated how I'm qualified to serve him. Now he's offering me an opportunity to serve him. It doesn't work like that. But I get these questions from all over. Student, I want to do an academic interview. Can I have 45 minutes of your time to do this academic? And I tell them no. I wasn't part of your proposal. Your study is not on me.
But the specifics, that was what was so
Yes,
fascinating about
if you
that
look at this,
response.
yes, this questionnaire students want to
Gosh.
give you, they are very specific. He has a thesis waiting, and those are the gaps. And he gives you, and if you feel that thing, you finished his work.
Sometimes they already have the answer, by the way. So that's the other thing. They already have the answer, they've already finished the work, but they're still asking you the same. What is it they're looking for?
No, he's struggling with the parts that require a certain pattern of thought. And he's asking because he doesn't want to read, quote, and acknowledge any source. He wants me to think for him, and he'll go and reproduce that on his paper. That's what. And
Oh,
and they've been told work smart. And for them working smart, find a smart person who sounds smart or who is smart, and get him to answer this question. Now, in fact, as he's doing that, he's laughing. He's in his mind, he's laughing at those students who are in the library reading about Mau Mau. I mean, nimepata mtu hapa. But I think it's a PhD.
and then what I just find funny is that they actually think you'll be flattered asking them when
Yes,
they're asking
yes,
you those questions.
yes.
And you're like,
Then
No,
now
there's some
insulted I am.
miscommunication somewhere.
It
I
took
think
all the
there's,
strength not to respond rudely.
what is the problem? Quite, who do they think we are? Because I
So they
get
think
questions like that. Somebody gives me a whole sermonette about, oh, women, and I don't know what, and what. So what do you think? And then I'm like, is this
in fact,
supposed to be an intellectual engagement? What are you doing?
it is disrespect because in their
It
mind, the thinking
is.
pattern is this. Wandia likes thinking, or she thinks she's smart, and okay, or even she's smart. So now let me give her an assignment. Ni kama amekosa kazi. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let me give her a chance to apply her brain.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It seems she likes thinking. Let me give her a chance to. Maybe she, it's almost like you like thinking, but maybe you lacked things to think about. So let me give you one. It's
If
like
you think
someone
you're
you have
so
a lot of money.
clever, sort this one out.
Eh,
Pap!
you have a lot of money. Umekosa kitu ya kufanyia pesa. Let me give you a charitable cause to do or something. It's very insulting. It
Such
took all my strength.
madharau. It's a lot of madharau, eh?
Very disrespectful and unacceptable completely.
But it happens a lot. People,
Oh, very
I
common.
go to a lecture
Kenyan
and
and foreign students.
they love it.
Foreign students now think like he'll be flattered that I'm an American and I'm asking me as an African. So he'll be happy to. I'm a student at X Ivy League and I'm asking him, or I'm asking one day, I'm asking her.
This very convoluted question,
She should be so
mapping.
flattered.
I don't know what.
I actually recognize her as a scholar from my
Yes.
Ivy League part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. That's it. I don't claim to be a scholar. By the way, I just study. That's it. I'm not
You just
claiming to
read,
be
you read,
anything.
you listen,
I
you
study, I
observe,
listen, I write. But I
and
think
you
they
observe.
come to you thinking, oh, you're claiming to be a scholar. Let's see if you can answer this one.
Ebu do this one.
Yeah, mouth mapping, I don't know, Black
Fiscal
Panthers. I don't know.
judicial system, anga fiscal secessionist. Mimi nijikute Satan.
And that happens to me when I give lectures, somebody just comes. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. I don't know who, and they expect me to say, yes, what an intelligent question. The problem is,
That's a
what they're
good
saying has
question. Yeah.
nothing to do with what I said.
It's even violence. It's
It
like telling you
is.
what you've talked for the last 15 minutes is not important. This is what's important. You tell us about this. Hizo ni zako. Hapana.
Oh,
No.
that one. That's a mother. That one was perfect. Hey,
You live, you learn.
hey, you map, eh? And
Can you map?
juxtapose. And I don't know what's the other word people use.
It's been decades. It's been decades since I was last given homework or assignment by anybody. Be me. Oh no. It's unacceptable.
What? That's brilliant. Sorry. That's absolute. Oh God. And they actually think they're doing you a favor and flattered.
Yeah. It's a compliment too. It's nonsense.
What are they missing? They're oh, they've
No,
missed.
they're missing the respect, really. The respect for work. They think you're stupid.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if Wandy has read all those things, why should I read them? See, she can just tell me.
Yes.
Why should she read, then I read? Even when you're a professor, they think, why you are a professor, you've read all these things. Now why should I read them? So you just tell me. You know all these things, you just tell me. No. It
But
doesn't work.
what's the transaction there? I'm not understanding because we don't say the same
No,
for food. Actually, because you've eaten it. Actually, we do in tribalism. So that's what
it's not even transaction, it's extraction.
Oh.
It's extraction.
Oh.
It's this deep lack of respect for knowledge that
academic work.
yes, yes, yes. And which extends, you see, like if you don't respect good art, you don't appreciate good art, you won't respect artists. If you don't respect knowledge, you won't respect academics. In fact, they look to you like sort of people who had a lot of time on their hands, you know.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, she had a lot of time on their hands, and she gained all this. So yeah, give her a chance to exercise her mind. It's a very strange thing.
It's very strange. I can't
It's very
I couldn't
strange.
understand it. Because I would be like, don't you want to engage what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But instead they bring their work. They say, what do you think about and map it on and I don't know
Ah,
what. I'm
ah,
just like,
ah.
what?
No, really? No, no, no. No, this
So
is not acceptable.
maybe explain to Kenyans as we wind down why this matters. Because it sounds so abstract that we're talking
Mm.
about knowledge, but it has really practical implications for our politics.
I think it matters because it is self-respect. Um, you can only respect grows sort of from the self and grows outwards from the self.
Mm,
What you develop yourself, let's say skill in football, skill in as a mechanic, as a writer or whatever, or academic. Once you grow that, that's what enables you to respect others. If there was somehow a shortcut by which you could suddenly become as good as Lionel Messi in football,
mm,
you never respect the game of football.
that is
Likewise, yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
that
there
is
was any shortcut by which you could become instantly fix a car, take down the engine, put it together again, you never respect a mechanic. You say, we want me to pay you 5,000 shillings. And
mm,
that's why they they now think there's a shortcut to understanding our environment, understanding our politics, understanding our culture. They think there's a shortcut. There's no shortcut because and people say you read. Yes, reading is part of, but you have to read, interpret, understand, and form an opinion. Then you become a scholar. And it's not about the certificates, it's about reading, understanding, and processing. So once you do that, then you can listen to politicians, understand what they're saying, and process it and realize this guy's a charlatan.
yeah,
This
yeah.
lady is talking nonsense. And then you can make your decisions on that to support them, vote for them, donate money to them if that's your thing and all that. But without any of that, that's why people keep asking, who do you think I should support? So who do you support? Because the reason someone asks you who you support is because he thinks he's doing you a favor by supporting that same person. If I tell him I support so and so, he thinks, yes, I agree with you. Yes, let's support him. Or no, I don't agree with you. Just form your own opinion. But you can't do that without reading, interpreting, understanding, and forming your opinion.
And
Even not reading,
listening
even
if
just
it's
observing.
moral.
Reading is a form of observation. So we are talking about observing. It's observing. And observing means also appreciation of history. This pretends that you pretend not to, you try to blank out what someone did 10 years ago. What I'm saying today is a product of things I saw and did, if
Yeah,
some even 25 years ago.
yeah,
Is advising what I'm saying to you
yeah.
today. But Kenyans think there's a shortcut. You can bypass history, you can bypass reading, you can bypass thinking.
Because
And
actually,
that's
even the
totally
AI
wrong.
problem,
Is
that's
that.
what it is.
That is it. It claims to be a bypass. So our government is saying leverage AI. University is saying AI,
Yeah,
school of
yeah.
AI. Our writers are using AI because they think that's a bypass. Sorry.
You have to do the work.
You have to do the work. You have to do the work. AI is just a tool. It's like you start saying that Leonardo da Vinci's sculptures, you start asking, hey, it's like you look at that sculpture of David, or Michelangelo's David, and you start saying, what kind of chisels did he use? The way you take a good photograph, and Kenyans ask you, what camera
What camera did you use?
Huh?
But there's something about digital media, which we can talk about another time, that makes Kenyans think that it has no human agency.
No, yeah.
I think there's something
They
that
think
makes the way it's
yeah,
marketed, it's
yeah,
marketed as a technology that has no human
yes.
effort.
Once that term artificial intelligence is a very bad
It's
term.
so
A
bad.
misnomer,
So
it's a
bad.
bullshit term. It's a bullshit
It
term.
is.
And Kenyans have embraced it. Someone's asking, do you compete or collaborate with it? Kwani it's a person.
What?
No, that's a challenge. So there's no shortcut, and we keep everything we say it comes down to that. There's no shortcut, but people, the belief in shortcuts is a terrible thing on the human spirit because it's what makes people join cults. It's what makes people get into gambling. It won't make people join pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
These startups.
Yes.
It's all that belief that a shortcut. There's this new crop. There's this new quail. There's this new machine that does this. There's this new, I don't know, market something. No. Knowledge, there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut. Knowledge is part of our condition. You can get theoretically the shortcut to knowledge. You can read a book and know something, but knowledge is like a seed. It's only effective when it's planted in your mind and it grows into opinions and all this kind of thing. If a maize seed in the store, after 1 year, it's just still like a maize seed. If it's implanted in the ground after 1 year, it's
a maize stalk.
Yeah.
And when you think of it, actually, the Kenya Kwanza government, that has been its greatest undoing.
That government is a startup.
Oh, yeah.
It's a startup. Kenya Kwanza is a startup.
It is. By the way,
and like I don't know these other ones, Kina Jumia, Kina Sandy, it's now reached its lifespan. It's just it was never started with the long-term goal in mind. That's why I tell people startups are not businesses. That's why I don't fund it to go and start doing something to collect certain data to achieve certain aims. Once those aims just dies.
Like now, this one was for IMF. So IMF is now tired.
Yes.
Like you've done
what
you
IMF
want.
Startup.
We've put your finance bills. That's what all we wanted.
Yeah,
now
we got the data and we've got our money flowing in now.
Yeah. Now the economist is starting to say, oh, yeah, they need a new president. Yeah.
That's like it. Yes. And you see they've started turning against it.
Man, Kenyans have to think. I hope the one lesson that they will have learned from this disaster of our government is that you cannot avoid thinking.
You can't avoid thinking.
You can't
and also one thing also the others should learn, apart from the Gen Z, we were the ones doing it, is the power of thought.
Yes.
I mean, look at even outside Kenya. Ibrahim Traore is not a threat to the West because he has a huge army or air force or navy. It's his brain that is driving those guys nuts. How can this guy start thinking and saying these things?
Yeah.
And he's in uniform. We thought these are the ones who we have panel beaten to a level they can't think.
Yeah.
These are soldiers, and he's thinking and he's quoting, I don't know, and he's quoting books. He's quoting history. That's what's frightening. And that's what we must do.
And you should see the propaganda against him. Saying, he's not doing all the things he says. That's not the point.
That's not the point.
His mind.
And then again, that's another thing. The propaganda again is trying to close the gate after the horse has bolted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that's the stupid mind that thinks like we can, if like you can somehow get rid of him now and that thing will end.
It
Imeenda.
would.
It won't.
Even
It
Gen Z,
won't.
them abductions.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, you
Gone.
think if you compromise Caswell, this thing will go away. Pole sana. You just gained another mouth to feed on the gravy train. That's it.
Hey, I hope Kenyans will hear what we are saying because
No,
I'm starting
no,
to
let
there.
if no, no if
Yeah.
they don't hear it, our pata.
Yeah, and
That's
you
the best thing
told
about
me that. You
it.
told me to stop that
Don't
there's no
don't
point
worry.
obsessing with
Mm,
convincing people.
mm. Don't worry if they don't hear it, our pata pale mbele. As we will be drinking, we'll be drinking our sour uji.
Okay, I'll try. It's really difficult, but I'm going to try and do that.
No, we are in the dark. We are at the darkest part of this night now. Going forward, I'm seeing it will just brighten. It will
Mm.
just brighten. We really are at the darkest part. I'm serious about that. I don't think I can get any darker intellectually and culturally than it is now. So the dawn is coming.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're most welcome. To your pleasure.
Yeah,